is about me and Dune is that I really love it. It's good. But also like I'm a member of the Dead Dads Club. And my dad really loved Dune. And my dad was really into fantasy.
Mm.
And that is just not my bag. Like I've always been a nerd, but I was very into like sci-fi. And so
Yeah.
things that we
Hell
could
yeah.
agree upon were things like Dune or Alien, like things that, involve space, but maybe don't get well, Dune gets pretty into the weeds with some of the stuff. But Alien and Aliens they're just horror movies that are
Yeah,
set in
it's Jaws
space,
in space in a good way,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. And
This one,
so
this
what
one leaned a
he
lot
kind
less
of would check
heavily.
out
This one felt like it leaned a lot less heavily on the space part. Do you guys?
a little, yeah.
Yeah,
It could be anywhere.
yeah. Anywhere with the desert.
And that's kind of the point, right?
Well, and
Like
you don't even need to really know what the spice does. The fact everybody wants it. That's all you need to know. Everybody wants it, and that's like the big deal. And they
They want it. They
explain
love
yes.
it. They gotta have
they
it.
gotta have it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas like
They
the made for TV version, not the made for TV version, but the TV version of the Lynch Dune actually added an hour explaining like the entire history of spice.
yeah
Yes.
which
It's
nobody asked for or really wanted.
Like,
In
who cares about the
1492,
Valerian revolt?
Christopher Columbus accidentally landed on the planet of
In
Arrakis.
Arrakis, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he thought he was going to India.
So your dad was a
books-
Dune head, is what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
into that kind of
yeah.
stuff. Okay.
And so
Just to put us
I
back on track.
remember, yeah, I think I was in like middle school maybe, and I was like, I want to read Dune because I had a very elevated reading level.
Yeah.
And yeah, and my dad literally, like, he was like, no. He's like, you're 11, 12 years old, and I know that you can read the words and I know that you can understand the plot, but I don't think that you've experienced living and life enough to really understand what it's trying to
What it's trying to
say.
say, yeah.
And so I would rather you wait until maybe like you're in high school. And so I was like, okay, and I proceeded to like read The Hobbit, and I liked that enough to where like we could like bond over that, and talk about that. And then I think I was maybe like a sophomore in high school when I read Dune, and I definitely looked at it and was like, wow, I'm glad that I waited to read this, because the difference between reading something as like a 13-year-old versus reading something as like a 15 or 16-year-old, it's not very much time, but what you've seen like in the world, or like paying attention to the news, or like the political spectrum of the world is just so different.
Even like history classes, I feel like.
Yeah.
In middle school,
Yes.
you get like a very, I mean, not that you don't get like a basic 101 history in high school, but like at least you like have kind of the understanding that like, okay, like there is a history of people wanting, different spices and like different things from parts of the world that they kind of just appear on and like subjugate the people there. And even that like amount of knowledge, like is like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, here.
Or even like what they want it for and what they're using it for is very different than what the Fremen utilize it for.
Right.
And that's important, and I genuinely think that like as like a 13-year-old, I would have understood what happened, but even that specific, I would not. It would just like,
and
Yeah,
that kind of gets
exactly,
into like the
yeah.
concept of like indigenous people, right? Like,
Right.
which is not, there's a very different story of indigenous people I think you learn in like middle school than what you learn starting in high school.